Since when did failing become fun? I grew up on games like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, where when you die, you go back to a checkpoint and then you try again. The checkpoint system is made to spare you a lot of grief. Yet these games still get really repetitive, and at times, really frustrating. This formula is consistent in most of the games that I've played. When you die, it doesn't entirely wipe your progress. It just restarts you from a certain point and makes you try again. But then you try the same thing again and again and again, and deaths rack up, and it's infuriating. So why is it now, with the newer co-op indie friendslop games, that death isn't as annoying anymore? How come failure feels less frustrating and more fun? I think it all boils down to the game's attributes. In order to ensure that you still have a great time even when you fail, these kinds of games follow a specific and consistent formula. Simple, clear goal. All of these games have a very clear objective: to keep going. And oftentimes, it's to keep going until you can't possibly go anymore. This goal ensures that your experience is more linear than a sandbox, yet gives you more personal choice about how you want to shape your experience, unlike in most story games. Random generation, replayability. Games like Lethal Company and Repo have procedurally generated maps and randomly generated items. This means that no matter where you go, it's never going to be the same as where you've been before. This ensures that the experience is always new. Peak's random generation is daily instead of after every playthrough, but this still works really well and promotes variety. Each mountain has numerous routes that you can take to get to the top, and 24 hours is plenty of time to explore these different routes. Progress made, and not just the illusion of progress. In some games it's straightforward, like reaching the top of a mountain. In others, the progress isn't so easy to track, but it's still there. There's the increasing quotas, which is definitely a visual representation of that progress, but it's more than just a number. It tells you what you need to earn, and the more you earn and the more you sell, the more access you have to buying expensive items, and the greater your ability is to, say, purchase a difficult area and face more difficult monsters.
Go away! I don't want you!
In nearly any game that you look at when you're trying to track progress, you'll notice that progress is actually pretty synonymous with difficulty. The deeper you get into the game, or some element of the game, things just get harder. And this is definitely true in this genre of game as well. To truly know we're making progress, we consistently experience a greater difficulty across all of these games. Cooperative gameplay. The co-op elements of these games are really well designed. One major aspect is the proximity chat. Being able to talk to your friends in-game and your voices being modified by distance or the area that you're in.
What is wrong?
It's pretty huge for making the overall experience more immersive. And then there's also the fact that as a cooperative online game, you're on the same team with whoever you're playing with. So being able to help your teammates and work together truly becomes part of how the game is played.
Yay!
Having other people there can really make or break a run. Yet there is no limit to how you choose to experience these games with other people. You can split off and do your own thing to achieve whatever the goal is, which can give you plenty of stories to share with everyone the next time that you link up. Or you can tackle the goal together and as such, see the same things and go through the same motions, giving you all something to connect over. And then if something does happen, like a surprise monster or fall, you've got people to share that with, whether that means getting to scream together, laugh together, or get laughed at. All of these attributes combined ensure that you have a unique experience every time you play one of these games. Now, when it comes to the failure aspect, one thing to remember is that these games were designed for failure, in a way. The part where you die is often inevitable, and that's the intention. Games like Repo and Lethal Company don't have an end for a reason. It's so that you play and play until eventually you die and lose. Add in a ramping difficulty and harder quotas, and eventually it's just impossible to continue playing. Death is inevitable. It's a bit different for Peak, which does have an endpoint. However, reaching that endpoint is not easy, and that's part of the design as well. Death may be slightly less avoidable than in the other games, but it's still easy with each mountain's tough climbs and natural obstacles, along with how easy it is to acquire damage, hunger, poison, and frostbite. So failing is in the blueprint of these games. The developers know that failure is going to happen often. So if you're making a game with that in mind, you need to find a way to make the failure enjoyable somehow. And that they do. And I think it's because deaths in these games evoke strong emotion, especially emotion that isn't necessarily negative. In Peak, you fall. Your body does some flips and bouncies with fun sound effects, and it's hard not to laugh at yourself. And in other games where a monster gets you, often it's so shocking and sudden that it makes your heart skip a beat a little. Or, in my case, scream bloody murder. But even that fear isn't necessarily a bad thing. It keeps you engaged, it keeps you on your toes, and then afterwards, when it's all over, it's really easy to laugh. With death comes the question of what happens next. In these games, when you and the rest of your team die, the run essentially ends, making you start over from scratch. Normally, it'd be really frustrating to have to start over like this. Losing your progress sucks, and that's why lots of other games have some sort of checkpoint system to lessen that complete and utter dread. But somehow, the anticipated dread that comes along with losing your progress in these games isn't so bad. And that's because the next time that you play, it's not going to be the same thing that you just experienced. You're not going to go to the exact same places and find the exact same items and have the exact same moments as last time. The element of random generation, as well as the human personality in general, ensures that your next playthrough is going to bring something new to the table. And that's something that only these kinds of games can offer. These games make failing fun, yes, but is that enough? Are these games actually successful? It's hard to tell without considering what it is that really makes the game successful. Is it how many downloads a game gets, how long it stays relevant, the impact it has for years to come? If it's the latter, then unfortunately these kinds of games might be in danger. From the trends we're seeing so far, these games just aren't timeless. Many games have player numbers that have stayed consistent or grown over the years. However, if we look at Lethal Company, Content Warning, and Repo, we see a significant drop in the player count in just the short months that these games have been out. In addition to that, this game genre has just been criticized like crazy over social media lately. A term was even coined for this type of game called friendslop. It's meant to be a criticism for these kinds of games, for being overly simple, low effort, and providing no value outside of the friend aspect. In spite of these things though, I would say that yes, this type of game is very successful. The ability to have an entertaining and unique experience every single time you play a game is invaluable. And that's something that haters, with a Z, can never take away from this genre. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think of this? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comments, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more like this. Bye!